you always want to work with. And Jeff is definitely one of those guys for me. And same with Barrett Martin. Barrett and I jammed in the 90s, and I always wanted to work with Barrett. So both Barrett and Jeff called me last summer, and they had some tracks that they recorded, and wanted me to ask if I'd come and play bass on them. And I was really ready to play bass again. I hadn't really played bass in anger for a few years, so the songs were epic. And then we started playing some live shows, and that's when it really felt really perfect. And being able to play with Barrett as a drummer, like have a rhythm session with Barrett, it's stunning. It's really, for me as a bass player, it's the perfect place for me to be right now. And Jeff writes, I think it's the best songwriting there is out there right now.
I don't know what I expected when the album came across my computer, and I think in my mind I was thinking it was going to be harder, a little more derivative of some of your past bands, and it's quite a delicate album, very poppy and almost jazz sounding in a lot of places. I dig that. It's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, we like all that. You know? Well, that's my worst fear is bands being derivative. You know, like when I hear some band and everybody's like, they're great, and I'm like, yeah, that's Joy Division. Didn't you know that that's Joy Division or someone else? And they're great. When you can tell exactly what it is. Yeah, they are great, but it's someone else's thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like we're on the quest to find what is our thing with the ingredients, but not ignore our experience in past, but like build upon it, you know, and draw from it, but not imitate it. You know, that's like the death nail to become a parody of your old self or someone else, you know what I'm saying?
And pulling from your past is not, you know, you learn from your past musically, like stuff you've played, but it's also all the stuff you've listened to, and just as importantly, like the experiences you've been through in life. And as you matriculate and learn more stuff, that does definitely go into your playing and your songwriting and the way your approach to how you play live and in studio.
So being that you've all had past lives in different bands, coming together, is that an easier thing? Is there an easier alchemy as musicians jamming together?
I don't know about that. It's just the chemistry works with this particular four guys. And that I know that doesn't always happen. You can't just pick that guy and that guy and that guy and it's got to work. They're all great. You know, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, and it's kind of like one of those things too. Is like, you know, what's the most important ingredient in a musician that you're going to play with? Can you get along with him, and does he show up?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's like more important than his musical abilities a lot of times, you know. And if a guy shows up and puts the time in, he's got better chances of coming up with good songs than someone, you know, that, you know what I
mean? Yeah, exactly.
That's good. So everybody in this band's, you know, easy to get along with, and they're all, you know, there when you need them, and musically and otherwise.
When did you know that you guys were clicking? Like, did you have a few songs in the bag? Did you do a bit of a soft release to kind of test the market?
I first jammed with Barrett Martin, and it's pretty hard not to click with Barrett Martin. He's such a phenomenal drummer. He makes, if it ain't clicking, you should probably play less.
Right.
And let him play, and then as soon as the problem now is that we click too much. Like every time we plug in and do a sound check, there's just so many ideas flowing all the time, and it's like, well, which one do we focus on? Because there's so many. It's just a flood of ideas. So we, you know, have to spend a lot of time filtering through and listening to those to choose the ones. And it's like, you know, I don't want to get into that thing where everybody's like, oh, and we can make 4 records. Well, I mean, there's still work that needs to be done on those ideas. But as far as the gelling and the chemistry, that's really easy. So, you know, then it just comes from the work of focusing in and fine-tuning things. So it was really pretty instantaneous.
Cool. On paper, you guys come across as a supergroup, like all of the past bands that you've been in, 20 years, 25 plus years making music. Do you feel like a supergroup?
Well, my joke is always there, like, are you guys a supergroup? And I'm like, well, we're definitely not a soup.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I like that, but most people don't get it.
Most people don't get that joke.
You added Mike McCready to the soup, which is kind of cool.
We did, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's like a, you know, what's it like, the Harlem Globetrotters or something? At the end of the year, you get all your VIPs in there or whatever. But everybody has played. But I think that I don't think it comes, you know, like you're saying, I don't think it comes off as like that kind of thing. I think it comes off fresh and new, and it's exciting for everybody that's in the band as well, you know. But it is, in this world, it's so hard to get people's attention. So to have some people that have had some history, to be able to, that they trust their musical history, you know, Duff or Barrett, or even the 5 dudes that follow my bands around, to have them be there for us to start off, to kind of hit the ground running with a supportive fan base is great.
How do you feel like getting attention is going? Are you finding you're getting an audience from different places? Is it radio? Is it touring? Is it the internet? Everything?
You know, I think the record's just kind of spreading, and live it's like doing good. Barrett had put it out on his own independent label, and then now that we realized that we needed to make things happen a little bit faster, because he was doing a lot of it himself, and so now we signed up with Loud and Proud, and they're doing their stuff through Sony Red and Sony here, and they got different deals going on. But it's like, you can't do it all. Everybody tries to get in that thing that, you know, if you try to do it all, you're going to be a manager and a label guy and a producer and the graphics dude and the web guy. It's like, then you're doing everything kind of shitty, you know what I mean? And so we're just going to focus on the music and be available when they need us and let them do that. But I don't know, it's like, I think it's just, like you said, I think a lot of people are just, they need to hear the record in order to understand what we're doing, you know? Otherwise, they could just dismiss it as, oh, it's like a bunch of, here we go again with 4 Seattle dudes jamming, you know what I mean? And I think our records, even though some great records have come out of that, I don't think our record is, without sounding like an arrogant prick, I think it's special. I feel really good about it.
I like that you refer to it as a record, because I went through it to pick a couple of songs to talk about, and it's just a good album. Like, if you start at the beginning, you kind of want to finish it right through and start it off again, and that's uncommon in this current industry.
We were listening to Yellow Brick Road on the bus the other night.
Yeah.
And you forget, like, that is a full, you have to listen to it in order. You know, at least I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was, that was when they made albums, or double albums in that case. And you know, I don't know how they picked Benny and Jets to be the single, the first single. I remember that song being a single on the radio. In 3rd grade, but, you know, absolutely remember it. But it's just a full movement of music.
Yeah.
You know? It's how, where I grew up, and you don't, like, maybe it is hard to pick a song on this record. Like, we had to pick a single, right? I don't know. Whole World. It's topical.
It's a rocker. Like, it's got a little bit of oomph behind it, so it makes sense as a radio single.
There's a harmony in the backup vocal, you know, that always helps.
Right.
I think I think it plays better as a record, you know. And you hear these, it's like a high fructose world right now, and everybody's, you know, they focus in on a single, and I think our band creates a vibe if they listen to it, and there's just something that's like maybe different. I love a good pop single just as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And I cherish a good album, but I think that you know, they talk in this world. Everybody's like, it's a push button world. You know, they want instant gratification and they want it, you know, now. And it's like, instant gratification ain't even fast enough. Now they want it done yesterday.
I know.
You know. So with a full record, I think that, you know, kids have the ability, and, you know, people have the ability to have a long attention span. They just don't do it for something that's cheap. And sometimes if it's high fructose everything all the time, and there's no tension and release and, you know, dynamics to the thing, it's hard to, like, stay tuned to it, you know. And so I always prefer an album, you know.
I like that the whole world's watching doesn't really sell everything that's on the album. You can hear that song, you can enjoy it for what it is, but there's a lot more magic on the album than just that song. There's some horns, you know, there's some really delicate, beautiful moments on a place like this. I think that's a cool track. And I like Two Hits in a Room.
Nice. What's the second single? You tell us what's our second single.
I don't know, man. I'd go with something a little more like Jack Johnson sounding, because you've got a few songs on there that are kind of slow grooves, and there's a big audience for that. So I would pick like 2 or 3 tracks that are like that. I'd go for one of them, and maybe not do the rock song next. Go with something that doesn't have McCready in it. Is there a story behind 2 Tickets in a Room?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was this girl. I was trying to find this girl that actually won 2 tickets and a room at her company Christmas party that I was dating at one time, and you know, some of this, you know, you need to kind of amplify things and this and that for you know, to make it sing well, or this doesn't rhyme with that, but you know, it pretty much plays itself out kind of like how it had went down. But it was like a lot of at that time I was a really bad alcoholic, and so I think, you know, she was trying to keep up, and then she wasn't doing too good, you know. And so I was trying to look after her, but it didn't. You know.
None of it went well.
No, it's like I was misunderstood. Me looking out for her. It was like, you know, some dudes thought I was stalking her, and I was actually. She didn't know where she was going, and I didn't know where the hotel was. I don't even know if she could pronounce her name at that point.
That's fodder for writing, man.
Yeah. You know, I talked to her since, and she had heard the album and heard the song, and she said at first she was kind of pissed, but then she was like, actually, she feels really good about it, and both of us have got our shit together since then. So it's like, you know, I think a comedy is a tragedy with a little bit of time, you know. So.
What made you decide on Walking Papers? It's the name of your band. There's a double entendre there that's kind of obvious. Is that where you were going, or?
We wanted to call it Red Envelopes because the song there. You know, a red envelope is like when you get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, so you've had your power shut off before.
Yeah.
Got a couple of those sitting at home waiting for you. Yeah, so we wanted to call it that, and then there was some company that used that for like a Hallmark kind of greeting card kind of love note kind of thing, and so he started searching alternative names, and which is funny because I had Walking Papers written in my notebook as like for a song, you know, like to use as like those topics, a lyric or something, and he had said the same thing, so we just decided it was synchronicity. And then this day and age, every 12-year-old kid's got every name locked up, so it was kind of surprising to see that it was available.
Awesome.
You know. Couldn't get walkingpapers.com though, because there's somebody that has that. They got an idea for that, but they're not using it. That's like really irritating, because how that stuff's so.
All the .coms are gone. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What the name of it is.
Do you get a lot of questions like, when were you first aware of the missionary position, and does that generate a laugh?
Or the other band?
Or the other band?
Yeah. The mission. That was a whole accident. The reason he'll be like, you know, how come you haven't got a leg up yet? And it's because I've been in bands with the worst band names of all time forever. You know what I mean? So,
I don't know. I thought Post-Starter Special was a great name.
Yeah, I like that. Awesome, man.
Too long though. It don't fit on a flyer.
Oh, that's true. You gotta always go to the second line for depression, right?
Yeah.
I think you guys have got a winner with this album. I'm really looking forward to seeing it live.
Yeah, cool.
And I totally appreciate your time today.
We're playing earlier than scheduled today because I gotta get to a flight. I have to go home for 2 seconds tomorrow.
Cool. Also, Danko Jones is his home.
This is home turf too.
That's
yeah.
true. What time are you going on there?
4:40.
4:40. I'm gonna check that out.